Hey, am I on there? Good grief, what's going on? Oh, I am. Okay, cool. All right, so I've been talking about obesity this week, and obesity covers such a wide range of areas. And I wanted to kind of focus in on just menopause in general because we can get weight gain during menopause. But since it's such a broad area, I'm just kind of trying to summarize what it is, conventional treatment methods, and then I'm kind of going to go into some alternative choices that you might make concerning plant medicine. So I'd already talked about some of the medications that we use, and I wanted to finish that up today. So the last section of medications are the it's hard to say, incretin mimetics. And what these are they're medications usually used in diabetes, but they're also kind of reformulated to be used for weight loss. So the way they work is when you take this medication, which is an injection, it's not insulin, but it's an injection. So when you take the medication, it can cause some nausea, but it can also, and that would be one reason why you wouldn't want to, eat as much because you're nauseated and you can't eat. Well, that's a heck of a way to lose weight. But the other thing that they do is they make you feel full. So satiated is the word for that. So they make you feel satiated for longer periods of time, so you tend to eat less, and that's how you lose weight. So these can be injected either one time a day, 2 times a day, or once a week. It just depends on which formulation you get. And of course, insurance is going to kind of dictate that, whether you've got insurance or not. All right. The last thing, and I think I talked about the Contrave, I can't remember. Just to sum that up, though, it is a combination of Wellbutrin that we use for treating depression and Naltrexone that we use for opiate and alcohol use disorder because it cuts the cravings. So this medication works by kind of messing with your serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine neurotransmitters, but it also blocks the receptors in the brain that cause you to crave. So people that crave foods like sweets or breads or chips or whatever aren't going to have the cravings as much if they take Contrave. But if you already are on a medication for anxiety and depression and you take this medication, it can affect that. And if you have mental health issues, it can also have some effect on that as well. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. And it, it's one of those drugs too that's going to be a lot more expensive. So sometimes you have to split those doses up, and you can do the Wellbutrin okay, but the Naltrexone is not quite as easy to get the smaller dose of Naltrexone that you would get if you were using Contrave. The last thing is the ultimate last-ditch effort to lose weight, and that's surgery, and that would be a Roux-en-Y procedure where they actually bypass the stomach completely and make a new little pouch for your food to go into, or a gastric sleeve where they just kind of bind the stomach up and shrink it so that you can't eat as much, and so you lose weight that way. But I know a lot of people that have done that, and that has not been an effective treatment. There are some people that have succeeded, but for the most part, it's very, very, very difficult to do this one and have a positive outcome for years later. So anyway, I wanted to talk about cannabis and CBD oil, obviously, but how do they work with weight loss and menopause? So cannabis from the cannabis plant and CBD from the hemp plant have hundreds of compounds that can address many of the issues that will help us with weight loss. But since there's so many reasons that people gain weight, we're just going to focus on those menopausal issues at this point. So you have to consider, what is the issue that you're dealing with? So you're in menopause, maybe you can't sleep, so you crave more food the next day because you're not sleeping good. So if you address the sleep issue, you're going to sleep better, you're going to have less food cravings, right? Or are you not sleeping good because you have hot flashes? And if you can control the hot flashes, maybe you'd sleep better. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg, What do we address first? But in this case, in using CBD or cannabis or both, if you use it correctly, you're going to get a good night's sleep. You might have a hot flash, but you should just wake up and go back to sleep. And if it all starts with getting that good night's sleep so that you don't have these surges of cortisol that cause you to crave foods, and you don't have fatigue that causes you to want something that's going to give you energy like sugar or carbohydrates or caffeine, it just all makes sense to me. So if we control sleep, that's the number one thing, then we are going to have a better possibility of not having weight gain. So the compounds, let's talk about that a minute. The compounds, they're not like those regular medications that I just talked to you about. These address receptors in the body, all over the body. So conventional medications have one target. They focus on one target and that's it, where cannabis and CBD will focus on multiple targets all over the entire body. So if you, and it does that because you have this thing called this endocannabinoid system, and I've talked about that before, but I'm always going to talk about that because it's a system that is been identified by science, that is all over our body. It mimics the cannabinoids of cannabis, and it's there for a reason. It helps us maintain balance and homeostasis. That's what we're trying to do all the time just by having an endocannabinoid system. But when you add cannabis or CBD, you're affecting your endocannabinoid system in a positive way. So the endocannabinoid system has a very important job of regulating appetite, burning fat, and diminishing weight gain. Anandamide and 2-AG, which are our endocannabinoids, are produced by fat cells, controlled by leptin and insulin, and stimulate fat burning via the CB1 receptors. So in other words, there's more than one target I just mentioned there. So it works effectively on multiple targets. Also, there was a protein that was discovered in 2006 called the GPR119. This binds to our endocannabinoid anandamide and is also found in the GI tract, the pancreas, and the brain. Now, once that protein is activated, it helps by allowing a reduction in food intake and subsequently body weight. So currently, scientists are actually trying to develop a cannabis medication that will actually activate that specific protein, and that'll be another tool in the toolbox of how to treat obesity, and that I think is going to probably become a more conventional medication eventually. So aside from THC and cannabis or CBD for weight loss, there is one of the compounds that's gaining a lot of traction for helping curb appetite and result in weight loss, and that is THCV. That is tetrahydrocannabivarin, or THCV, and it is currently being studied as a treatment for obesity and diabetes due to its effects on decreasing food intake and increasing energy expenditure. And you can read more about that if you go to healer.com. So I want to talk about how we use cannabis and CBD, like kind of a little snapshot of how you might want to use it. But if I go into all that today, I'm going to go way over the time that I need to do this video, and I don't want you guys to check out on me. So I will try to either get back to this tomorrow or I'll get back to it on Monday. So anyway, that's my story for today. You guys have a fabulous weekend. I'm going to go see Grease tonight at McLeod Theater. My grandson has a cameo walk-on appearance in this show. I cannot wait. So it's tonight, tomorrow night, and Sunday afternoon matinee. You guys check it out. See ya.